From a sponsorship perspective, and certainly people want to say that you wait till the 11th hour until you get sponsorship for a specific project. We certainly, I think, fit that description this evening, and I want to again thank the school committee for all of their support in sponsoring this article tonight. The Parks and Rec Department, certainly the school committee, and the Turf Committee, who ultimately reports into the Parks and Recreation Committee, is sponsoring the article. You may say, who is or who are the members of the Turf Committee? The Turf Committee is made up of a number of different folks representing a number of different committees. Jack Collins, representing the Hillview Commission, Mr. Dave Johnson, who is the Athletic Director at North Reading High School, Marty Tilton, who is Director of Parks from Parks and Recreation, Rita Mullen from the Land Utilization Committee, Ed Rocco, original turf field member, myself, an original turf field member, and then I think everybody is certainly well aware of Mr. Michael O'Gill, professional engineer, also original member of the LUC, a very integral part of the development of the Ipswich River Park project, and he's also an original turf committee member as well. Now, in addition to the steering committee, we also have many members of the committee at large. North Reading Youth Football League Board of Directors, North Reading Lacrosse Board of Directors, North Reading Soccer Board of Directors, many of which are here this evening from the various youth groups, and we certainly appreciate that support. North Reading Field Hockey, Parks and Rec Department, the LUC, and certainly many local citizens that have contributed to the work that's already been done in investigating this project and the work that's been ongoing. We thank them for that as well. Now, the mission statement, I've already said this evening that I don't particularly care to read slide word for word, but when you talk about a mission statement, I think every word within a mission statement has meaning, so I'm going to take a moment just to read the mission statement of the North Reading Turf Committee. To transform the existing high school football field and track area into a state-of-the-art, lighted, multi-purpose, synthetic, athletic track and field area, including other amenities, and potentially construct a natural grass practice field adjacent to the football field. The purpose of these improvements are for much-needed field capacity for the school athletic teams, youth sports programs, and all other members of the community. This total renovation will provide safer playing fields, extend their use both daily and seasonally, and reduce the cost of maintenance. The newly created complex will also facilitate entertainment opportunities for the residents of North Reading while building community and pride. Now, I want to give everybody an idea of the chronology of events and approvals that have brought us to where we are today. This is kind of a culmination of years of discussion between the school committee and the Parks and Recreation Department on how we can work together to potentially offload the control of said fields to make things more efficient, and then to take some cost out of the operating cost that it takes to run the school system. Parks and Recreation, in around the end of 2007 and the first part of 2008, sought the permission from the superintendent of schools to do the research and to secure private funding for the installation of a synthetic turf at North Reading High School, and that approval was granted. Parks and Recreation, in keeping in mind Parks and Recreation's charter and mission, is to provide the best recreational programming and park facilities possible, took the project and then created a memorandum of understanding and submitted that to the school committee, much of which was discussed this evening. The Parks and Rec Department then reported to the LUC for approval and asked for authorization to request funding from the Hillview Commission. Now, we've got to keep in mind that the LUC's charter is to investigate acquisitions or utilization of lands to enhance the quality of life and present recommendations to the Hillview Commission. In essence, the LUC is the filter, if you will, for the Hillview Commission. They present ideas. The LUC supported the project unanimously. They presented it to the Hillview Commission. The Hillview Commission unanimously supported the funding up to $2 million for turf field installation at the high school, and this was November of 2008. They voted unanimously. And here we are tonight, where a warrant article is submitted seeking the support of the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, School Committee, and Secondary School Committee, and also the members of the public, to support this beyond the warrant for April town meeting. Critical actions and the risks associated with those actions, much of which we discussed earlier this evening. The transfer of the high school football field to the Hillview Enterprise for the purposes of parklands needs to happen, and the school committee is responsible and with certain conditions is willing to support that. Now the reason why that's so critical is that no fundraising can take place until such time as that happens. The other thing that we feel like is critical in an effort to move this thing forward so quickly is that right now we feel like costs are probably, certainly after a hyperinflationary period like we've all experienced, that costs are probably as competitive as they're going to be for some time. And we feel like the best thing for the committee right now is to take action so we can take advantage of what are very competitive prices. No more than 6 months, 1 year ago, the estimated cost of this particular project was as much as $300,000 and $400,000 more than it is today. The architects, the field turf product itself, the engineering firms, all of which are hungry in this environment. And right now is a great time to take action. The other thing that we wanted to mention here is that we wanted to initially construct the 3 key elements of the overall project: fields, track, and grandstands, to ensure that we stay within budget. Because some people may ask, well, what happens if you run out of funding? Who is going to be stuck with the bill at that point? Later on, I'm going to bring Mike O'Neill up to do a detailed cost breakdown of how much this is all going to cost. And at the end of the day, we've got enough funding to support these main 3 phases with contingency to ensure that we do not exceed the initial cost. The remaining part of the project will be subject to fundraising, and we feel like that the committee and the supporting cast is up to the task of generating the funds necessary to complete the overall projects in kind of an a la carte fashion. Now, as far as transferring the funds, transferring the land over to Parks and Recreation, there is no better place than North Reading High School to make this happen. This is probably the best place for all of the members of the community, all the various sports groups, both high school, school-related, and youth groups, to take advantage of it. It's a ready-to-go situation. We feel like the timing is right, and if we want to test out the theory that the school can turn over the control of land and field maintenance to Parks and Rec, this would be the best place to try it and to test out whether or not that theory is truly going to benefit the citizens of North Reading for some time to come. And then lastly, we want to create a state-of-the-art facility that can help generate revenue to offset the ever-escalating cost of user fees. Excuse me. Folks, this would be a state-of-the-art facility that you could host tournaments, you could generate revenue by charging a gate. It would be a great place for the members of the community to assemble and build community pride. Something that this town has never seen, and I think something that this town certainly would be proud of. Mike? We all know we've talked about the high school. And why is it needed? Well, quite frankly, folks, we talked a little bit about this earlier, we just don't have enough fields in town for what has happened with the growth of youth sports and school sports. 10 years ago, we didn't have lacrosse like we have today. We've got fields that are badly in need of repair. You look at the high school, quite frankly, it's antiquated. It's not allowable for sanctioned events, and there's an awful lot of repair that needs to be made. So we feel like we need to take some action quite quickly on that. We've got fields now that are out of commission. If you look at some of the, one of the fields at the Chestnut, or both of the fields at the Chestnut Street complex right now, and it's currently unusable. has been shut down. So we feel like that we've got plenty of justification for why this is needed. We want to create a multi-purpose synthetic turf field facility that would be an attraction for everyone to come, use, and enjoy for years to come. And everybody else certainly can read the other items that we have there on the screen. Some people say, why do you want to do it now? Well, when you take into consideration that this project has been in the works for many, many years, and the proliferation of youth sports in North Reading, certainly coupled with high school demand, has just simply overtaxed the field. Some people say that with the economy the way that it is, why do you want to do this now? Well, quite frankly, like I said earlier, we feel like the cost is right to do this now. We can't, there's probably no better time than to receive competitive pricing than what we have before us right now. The cost of all of the other associated project materials and engineering, we think is going to be quite competitive. So you say, why now? Why not now, quite frankly? We can immediately begin to fundraise if we move now. We can take advantage of available grants. You know, people have heard an awful lot about President Obama's stimulus package, and we also heard a lot about the fact that it needs to be shovel ready. If we act now, it will indeed be shovel ready. And it would be a shame for us to miss out any opportunities where funding is going to be granted to cities and towns for projects such as this. And you say, why now? Ask the high school, lacrosse, football, field hockey, and soccer classes of 2010 and 2011 whether or not now's a good time. I'm sure that they'd like to take advantage of it. And how about all of the youth sports? They're going to feel the same way. How will it be paid for? Well, we've already talked a little bit about the Hillview Commission. In April of this year, a special town meeting will request bonding through the Hillview Enterprise. This will be paid for through bonding by the Hillview Commission for up to $2 million. And folks, I think it's important to mention here that Hillview funds can only be spent on Hillview properties, open space, parks, and if anybody is unclear of the charter of the Hillview Commission, we do have hard copies here that you can take on the way out, and it spells out in detail exactly how and where the Hillview Commission can devote funding to. Let's face it, folks, $2 million is a lot of money. I know I've got a few ideas of what we can do with $2 million. And we've got an awful lot of things happening right now in town, quite frankly, that are in dire need of attention. Some critical issues. But the Hillview money is reserved for specific reasons. Open spaces and recreation. This is a dire need for this city, and this town, excuse me. It can't be used for other things. So I just wanted to make that clear. There might be some lack of understanding, quite frankly, of how these available funds can be used, and I think it's important that we educate the town on how that can be done. In addition, there will be funding through various sources. There will be joint funding efforts through local youth sports, additional private funding, grants, the NFL as an example, the state, and also through special events. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Mike O'Neill to come up and talk a little bit about the program development, and then to outline a detailed cost breakdown of what we think this project is going to cost.
Thank you, Tom. The program development, we have at this point interviewed 4 consulting firms. Those firms have high qualifications in developing construction plans and bid documents for these types of projects. They've all had at least 15 to 20 sites which require this same development that we are looking for. We have interviewed them, and we're in the process right now of selecting the final one. We've worked out the scope of services with them, which included preliminary design and final design. Through funding